Okay. All right. So internship, you said, was a very intense experience, and obviously learned a lot. That was the whole idea, to cram a great deal of information above that you already had, put it into practice with some oversight. I learned a number of lessons. I remember, except I want my notes. I remember one of the patients I had came in late at night, was an elderly black woman who was terribly dehydrated and nonverbal. And I thought it might be the dehydration. So I did a workup, and there was no family there, and there were no previous medical records. And I found that she had she had a severe urinary tract infection. So I was there by myself. It was late, and so I started medications. I started a rehydrator, and by morning, I was with her all night, and by morning she was feeling somewhat better, but she was still nonverbal. And then at rounds, we had to present patients to our preceptors. So at rounds, I presented what I'd done. I was kind of proud of myself, because I thought I had brought her back from the brink. Matter of fact, I probably did. But when my preceptor looked at me after learning as much as he could about her, he said, "Why?" He said, "The question you need to answer is why." He said, "You did everything right, but this woman is demented, and there's no place to send her." Eventually, we found her family, and indeed, she'd been demented for a while, but that information wasn't available to me. But he just suggested that maybe there are times when you don't want to jump in and treat so aggressively. And I had another one like that. Well,
Well, how did you feel about that advice?
It made me think. I wasn't sure at that point that I could do it. I mean, everything was focused on, doing battle with disease one patient at a time. That's the way we were taught to deal with this. And that was difficult. But, I wouldn't say that she was in particular pain or anything. She just was dopey.
How do you feel about when he said that there are people you don't necessarily want to treat aggressively?
Mm-hmm.
Was he saying to just
let her go?
What does let her go mean?
It means make her comfortable, but don't necessarily treat her aggressively, because she probably isn't going to live very long, and all of that. And so
he was saying don't treat the urinary tract infection.
Yes, that's right.
I don't think you agreed with that.
No, I didn't, but I could understand that is an option. It's an option I would rather have taken with the patient's at the patient's request. But she was in no position to do anything. She gave me no indication that she knew where she was, who she was, or anything else. So that was one lesson.
As you look back on that lesson today,
Mm-hmm.
was his comment appropriate to you?
It shaded the boundaries of what I thought was appropriate, and I just had to think about it some more. But I understood it, but I didn't think that I could do that. Fortunately, I didn't have to do it again there. Now, there was another one. Every 3 months we went to a new place. So I was on the female ward first, and then the male ward, and then I was on the private service. So the patients we were seeing were those who didn't have their own physicians, who weren't insured, right? On the private service, then it was much different. The intern was there to essentially do the scut work, but the patient's own physician was the one in charge. But it was generally at night when bad things happened, when the private physician wasn't necessarily available. So I had a patient who was a physician himself. Had heart disease. And he'd had a heart attack and a little bit of heart failure. And so he was being treated for that. I'd done a history and workup on him. I liked him. I think he liked me. And he was getting better when in the middle of, well, not in the middle of the night, but late at night, probably 10, 11 o'clock, he went into cardiac arrest. So I happened to be nearby, and I was called in. So I immediately started, of course, resuscitation. I jumped right on it, and we coded him, as we said, so that we got some help to come in eventually, and we got him back. But when he woke up in the morning, he had some neurologic deficits. Not unusual in that sort of circumstance. But that was unfortunate. It made me sad, and of course his family very worried about him. And of course I've been talking to his family as well. Well, then about